Good morning, welcome back to the channel. Today's adventure or challenge is a different one. I have given myself the challenge of getting a mini adventure done and filmed by 10:30 this morning. It's now 5 a.m. and I'm aiming to go and run the Frome Valley walkway path from central Bristol out to Yate, get the train back with editing the video on the train, and be finished with that by then. So just making sure that I'm properly caffeinated and fueled up, and then we'll get cracking. It should be about a 30 kilometer training run, and part of the aim of this is to keep training interesting when we're into the slog part of training.
So I'm just cycling into the centre of Bristol where the Frome walkway path starts. I think just by making the effort to get out and get somewhere slightly different, it's giving it a bit of a sense of adventure already. So I picked the Frome Valley walkway path. Literally I train on this path, or a little section of it, as my go-to run now that I'm back in Bristol, because it's just a beautiful little path. And I thought, I wonder where that ends up. And that's how this idea was born. So nearly into the centre of town now, and then we can get this cracking and see if we can get an adventure done and back and film made by 10:30. It's a nice little challenge. Let's go. Okay, so it is 6:30 now and I am in Castle Park in the centre of Bristol, which is where the River Frome ends, and I'm just past the walkway path ending sign there. But this is where we start. We're going to go from here all the way up towards the source of the River Frome, which used to be a big industrial area before the boats got too big to fit down the River Frome, and it became kind of a leisure area, and there's some great walkways there. I've got a feeling that once I get out of Bristol, the path gets smaller. My little training runs have gone up that far and get to points where the trail becomes much more overgrown. And beyond that, I have no idea, which is what makes this a little bit of an adventure. And then we'll get the train back. So already more excited about this than I would be for a normal 30k long run. A chance to practice some nutrition, and the idea of doing a point-to-point rather than a loop is definitely a winner. So it's 6:30, let's go. Okay, 5k check-in, and I reached what's called the Snuff Mills. This is the old mill spot. I'd say for the last mile, I've been on a nice path since I reached Eastville Park and got out of the urban area. Here you are, here's the old Snuff Mill. I think there were something like 13 mills down this area of the river. When the river used to be more powerful. Hard to imagine now, actually. But from Eastville Park, really, 3.5k into this route, everything's really nice. This area is just stunning. .10k check-in. So just last 5k have been almost entirely on lovely little single track trails. Not too technical, but rocks and stones at points, just pure fun running. And I've got a small little road section now, but I know I'm back onto the trails again soon. What of note, oh yeah, we've crossed underneath the motorway, the M4 and the ring road, so officially out in the countryside now. All right, 15 kilometer check-in. I'm now on ground I've never been on. We're probably halfway, a bit over halfway. And as soon as I reached the areas I didn't know, navigating has become a little bit more challenging. Let's have a look. Which way are you telling me to go? So pace is slowing, mainly because I'm not sure where I'm going right now. But also probably, so I'm definitely suffering today, not feeling great. Glad that I've got an excuse to stop and film a lot and to take it easy, but it's all fine. Days, miles, time on feet and out running and covering ground, it's all that's needed for this. I don't need to train to be fast for the Berkeley. I need to train to keep going when it gets tough, which is exactly what I'm doing now. So this is the problem with following signs. I've reached a junction here and it could be up there, which would be staying on the same side of the river. Could be over there, there's a gate, but no signs. So I think this might be a time to call in Google Maps, see what we got. The position might not be exactly right. It looks like we cross over the river at some point, so I'm gonna guess I'm gonna cross the river and head along and see how that goes. Oh, 20 kilometer check-in. Well, actually just shy of 20 kilometers, but there's a nice 20 sign there, so it seemed appropriate. And the signs for the Frome Valley walkway dried up on the last kilometre of that bit, which is a shame, but now I've entered the final part, I think. So we're kind of heading into the village of Nibley, a bit of a road section here, well, lane, quite nice. And then back on the River Frome pathway to get back into Yate. And I can stop there, it looks like a nice coffee shop I've got my eye on. So 25k check-in and I've arrived in Yate. Whew. So that was the route I had planned, finished. but you may notice I'm still running. So I picked out a coffee spot to stop at, and it's shut today. And then of course, I hadn't actually looked at where the train station was. I just assumed it'd be in the centre, but it's actually a mile away. So I'm getting an extra mile in, which is nice, and fingers crossed that there's some coffee at the train station. And then the final part of this challenge, can I get the video edited in the next hour? So I arrived at Yate in time for the train. No coffee here. The only option would have been a takeaway coffee from Tesco Costa, but I don't really think it justifies getting a takeaway cup. I'll go have an espresso back in Bristol when I get home. Definitely feels like I've had a mini adventure there. I've got a good sensation of nettle stings all over my legs, scratches and brambles. Got lost, had trouble finding the path at points, covered some new ground and arrived in a new place. I think that counts as an adventure. Perhaps the most challenging part of today's aim though is to try and get this video edited even before I get back. So I'm going to crack on now with transferring GoPro files over and try and edit on the train. I think it's a very tall order, but hopefully I will be close. Let's see what we get.